Sorry, it's very late. Oh,
It's 2 a.m.
it's 2 a.m. I'm feeling. Oh, no, it's 3 a.m. That's how the song goes. What's up, everybody? Apparently, you're not. Um, we are live in bed from our hotel room at Universal's Endless Summer, and we're tired because
Yeah, it's been a
we,
really long day.
yeah,
Totally worth it though.
yeah, we actually, Rachel got up and ran at like 6 o'clock this morning, and then came back and we went to Star Wars at Disney, which was fun, but we'll have more on that later.
Yeah.
But the big news is Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Orlando open tonight with 10 houses, 5 scare zones,
And two shows.
2 shows, and one hell of a good time. First of all, thanks to Universal for bringing us out and letting us enjoy, go through everything. I will tell you that we get the RIP tours as part of the media, and that is something that if we did not get as part of the media, we would definitely pay for it
Oh yeah. It's
because,
totally worth it. I mean, you can see
yeah,
everything in a single night.
you
Really.
you are driven like hell. I mean, we did not stop. Well, maybe a couple times we stopped, but it was genuinely fun and a blast. And we did get to see all the houses. Our tour guides were great. I can't remember their names.
Kelsey, I can't remember the other girl's name.
Jess, Jess, and I don't think it's Kelsey, but
It was Kelsey. I can't remember.
okay. So Jess and Kelsey. But really great tour guides. Really knew their stuff about Halloween Horror Nights, and
Kelsey made some of the funniest but some of the worst dad jokes.
they were really great. Um, but in the efforts of keeping this a little bit short, 10 houses. What okay, you made a good point earlier.
So, normally when people talk about, like, my favorite thing about Halloween Horror Nights is XYZ House. I think after experiencing everything tonight, my personal favorite actually was not House. It was Marathon of Mayhem, which is the Lagoon Show, which I thought was really beautifully done, and it invoked emotions of fear and excitement, and it kind of gave me the chills. So yeah, I really like that, and I think that would be something that I would do every single time.
Yeah, it was definitely very good. I wouldn't say it was my favorite thing, but it is definitely a must do for me. And it just kind of happens. I mean, they build it up a little bit. We'll be doing it in 5 minutes. Blah 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 blah. But it's really good, and it hits all the points of Horror Nights, and it's definitely a love letter to the fans of horror and of the films that they showcase, such as the Universal classic monsters and
Stranger
Stranger
Things
Things,
and
Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters.
There was
Yeah.
one more. Oh, Killer Clowns too.
Yeah.
The Killer Clown sequence was really cool.
Yeah.
Um, my favorite thing was good evening. How are you?
Hello.
My favorite thing was a house, and it's a toss up because the really good houses this year were just like jaw dropping amazing. Um, I loved Ghostbusters. I loved classic monsters. I mean, I'm a little partial to monsters. Um, classic monsters was very well done. Ghostbusters was amazingly well done. Um, and probably my favorite of the. Well, I don't know. That's hard because that's a toss up between classic monsters and um, Ghostbusters. But Graveyard Games was also another solid home run for me. And what was another one? Another one I really liked was Yeti, Terror of the Yukon. So many different big feets,
Yeti.
Yetis. Okay. So many different Yetis in that thing.
But there was no disco
No Disco Yeti. Shellfish. There's also no Everest, so. See Disney, Universal can keep their Yetis working. Why can't you? So, sorry. Um, yeah, no, there is really. Chris Carr makes a good point. There is really not a bad house at this year's lineup.
There
Um,
was only one house that I would say was not a good house. And it's probably because I have never seen the movie.
and it's probably because I hate the movie.
Yeah.
I am not a fan of House of a Thousand Corpses. I hate that movie.
Yeah.
I'm probably the only one in existence that hates it. For what it is, it's a good movie if you, or a good house, excuse me. For what it is, it's a good house. But if you've never seen the movie, like Rachel's never seen the
Made no
movie,
sense to me.
it made no sense to her. So, walked in, you have Captain Spaulding giving you chicken. She's like, why was the guy giving me chicken? So,
I did like that the house was very vulgar. Like it felt very
dirty.
adult.
Yeah,
Like when I came out, like if somebody was handing me a shot of liquor at the end, I'd totally expect it.
yeah. That would be one house that I would expect to see a tit fly out in, and it wouldn't be out of the ordinary. Honestly, you, you could see some titties in that movie or in that house, and it would be like, okay, you know. But that's also the movie. The movie's very vulgar, very visceral, and very dirty, and that's just what's up, Cedar Flags. That is just how the movie is, and the house follows that same repertoire. So if you like House of a Thousand Corpses, which I do not, which Rachel hasn't seen, then you'll love the house. If not, you'll be like, why is this guy giving me chicken? I expected to see a titty in it, but it.
I want fried chicken now.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm too tired for fried chicken. But it was an for what it was an okay house. If you love, like I said, if you like the movie, you'll love the house. Jordan Peele's Us also, it was very visceral. It was, you know, a lot of fun, but it's another one of those that if you haven't seen the movie, you're not going to understand the house. But there's still some really cool scenes in it and some really freaky stuff happening.
Yeah.
Um, so the soundstage houses, you had Ghostbusters, Us,
Yeti
Yeti,
and Stranger Things.
Stranger Things. Okay, now I had heard. Um, excuse me for a second. Sorry, had to adjust my hand. I had heard that Stranger Things this go around sucked, and I will tell you that is not the case. I liked. I was okay with last year's Stranger Things house. It was fun. It was a good homage to the show. This year, um, well, you're in the wrong place for that one. But this year, they did Stranger Things, started with season two, ended with season three. And while the season two section of the house was kind of dragging and it was okay, the set pieces in that thing were amazing. And then you get into season three, and if you've seen season three and you know what happens at the mall, they do that. They do that in the house, and it's not a static piece. It moves, and it's like,
It really brings like a whole new level of scale to the event. And
yeah,
I think it's going to be really hard for them to top it next year.
yeah,
So
and I'll get back to the level of scale, but I kind of think that's where Universal's going. It's just they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I'm not talking about just crowd size, which is happening too, but just the things they are doing are just like amazingly huge. Hi, Cassie, how are you? Um, yeah, tonight it was on point. There seemed like there was a lot of scare actors in a lot of houses. Um, but moving on to Ghostbusters, again, another really big set piece house. They had Stay Puft in there. I did. Stay Puft wasn't done the way I thought it was going to be done. But if you honestly look at it, there's really no other way to do it, and it was really clever the way they did it. Um, and the big gatekeeper keymaster scene. That was fantastic. That was just absolutely cool. And yeah, they kept the comedy in the house. They kept the beats of the house, and all your favorite ghosts are there. And just the way they did the special effects in it was just like, wow. I mean, the Slimer and the Slimer and the proton packs. That was just
Yeah,
kind
that
of
was really
genius.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space, another really good house. And usually, all right, so you had, yes, the librarian scene in it. The librarian was done very
Mm-hmm.
well. And we should have videos of all these houses up
Tomorrow.
tomorrow, maybe.
It depends on how long we sleep. It's been a long day.
Yeah, and we're going back tomorrow, so yeah, gluttons for punishment.
Yeah.
But
Kind of fun.
Killer Clowns did not fall to the curse of to the curse of the Shrek house. I'll talk about that in a second. But the biggest thing is, last year was a scare zone, and you got to basically play with the Killer Clowns last year, and it was fun. Now they did the same thing 2 years ago with Trick or Treat, and then last year made Trick or Treat a house. And while it was a fun house, it just didn't feel the same. Killer Clowns went a completely different direction, and it was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, they put so much detail into it. Clownzilla's there. If you don't know what Clownzilla is, it's the huge clown at the end of the movie, and they have him there. And yes, he's huge. I won't tell you where. I won't tell you how. You're just
Yeah,
gonna
so
you're gonna walk in and you're gonna go, holy shit, because that's what I did.
Yeah.
And smells like cotton candy and death in there. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Now the curse of the Shrek house is every year they put a new house in the queue line for Shrek or in the second theater for Shrek, and it has a reputation of not being very good. Last year was Halloween Halloween 4, The Curse of Michael Myers, or The Return of Michael Myers, or The Bunghole of Michael Myers, whatever it was. And while I enjoyed the house, it just wasn't very well received. Not a lot of people liked it. Year before that was Saw. Again, wasn't real well received. The only house that a lot of people absolutely loved was Krampus, and this house broke that mold by just being good. It was a really good house, and it proves that Universal can do amazing things in pretty much any space you can give them. I mean, before long, they're going to be doing a freaking scare zone or a house in the bathroom at Mel's Diner, and it's going to be amazing. That shit will be scary. You know, joke?
Interesting fact about Killer Clowns that our tour guides told us was it's not like your typical house where it doesn't necessarily go in chronological order.
Right.
And it's more of highlighting certain characters or scenes
Yeah.
throughout the house. So don't go in expecting like to see play by play of the movie.
Right. You're not going to see scene by scene like House of a Thousand Corpses or even Us or Ghostbusters to an extent. You're going to see just random vignettes concentrating on characters. Some of the characters in the movie, some of the characters weren't, but they all seem like they fit, and they're all fun. Um, let's see what else we want to talk about.
We'll talk about House of a Thousand Corpses, so we have just the back four. So Universal Monsters, Depths of Fear,
Yeah,
Nightingale, Blood Pit, and Graveyard.
Graveyard Games.
And
All right, so Graveyard Games is kind of cool. When Universal does, do I like that they went on a more modern twist on the classic monsters? I'll talk about that in a second, because they definitely did that. Graveyard Games, however, is kind of a modern twist on a haunted graveyard. And Universal does graveyards amazingly. You walk into the house, it's cold. Not super cold like Winter's Night, but it was cold. It was very beautiful. and it was covered in graffiti, and they used basically these kids screwing around on social media showing how they're trashing this graveyard, and the ghosts have had enough. They've had enough of that crap. They got your Facebook, they got your Twitter, and they bring you to the graveyard, and you're gonna pay. And I love that concept. I love that idea, and I love the house. It was just gorgeous. I guess they had a guardian of the graveyard, which was this purple lady, and man, it was well done. It was well done. It was intense. It had a lot of scares, and that one is probably hands down one of the most beautiful houses that I've seen in a long time. Going to Universal Classic Monsters, they did do a more modern take on the monsters, and while they left my creature alone, he was a little bit more violent, and he was a little bit more intense and in your face. Um, Dracula was bloody, um, unlike the the classic version of him. Frankenstein was more brutal, especially towards the doctor. And yeah, you had the Bride of Frankenstein. The one character I kind of liked the most out of all of them, though, was the way they did Phantom.
Yeah.
Phantom was done really good. Like just completely deformed face and ripped bloodied on one side, and man, it was done in the classical, almost like the musical.
Yeah. That's kind of what I felt like.
Yeah,
I felt like that's more Phantom of the Opera than anything.
yeah, it was more musical, more of the musical version, but bloody and universalized. So it was really good.
One of the things that I thought was really interesting, as you're going into the house, so basically in the facade there's different like statues of
Right.
each Universal monster, and kind of in the back they have a bust of
Boris Karloff.
yes, sorry, it's like drawing a blank. But I almost felt like they didn't really want you to see it, like it's almost an Easter egg. Um, but yeah, I just
Well,
thought that was really interesting that they included that
okay,
too.
was it? See, I didn't see that, but was it Boris Karloff as the mummy, or was it Boris Karloff as Frankenstein, or was it just Boris Karloff?
It was just Boris Karloff.
Okay, so that makes sense now, because I do remember seeing Frankenstein, and I don't know if I saw Mummy, the bust of the mummy.
I don't know.
Well, Creature wasn't there.
Creature.
Creature wasn't there. Don't tell me they're all there, because I was looking for Creature. Um, but yeah, Boris Karloff was kind of pushed to the back. So it's kind of I think that's more of a little hidden tribute Easter egg than pushing him to the back. So, Depths of Fear, that house was surprising.
I love that they have running water in the house.
Yeah, they had running water. It was very
I thought the way they
intense.
executed it was really interesting.
Yeah. Basically, you have 4 minutes to get through the house before it implodes, and the threat feels very real. It's a very claustrophobic house. And what I was worried about was, okay, so they say parasites, right? And I was worried that you were gonna see like actors running through the house with a mask over their face with a tail kind of, but they didn't do that. These damn things mutated you, and you had giant freaking fish monsters, which I love.
Really cool, yeah.
Yeah, they were really cool. And yeah, it set the scene very well and did make you feel underwater. There was one scene where things were leaking down, and I guess originally they wanted that to be like a waterfall, and something happened and they couldn't do it, but it was just like unbelievable. Um, and finally, Nightingale's Blood Pit.
Very bloody.
Very bloody. I love the house.
I liked it.
I mean, I
feel
liked the
the
house.
original was my favorite between
Yeah.
the two.
Now, one thing that I will say is that this was set in Roman times, and it seems like the Nightingales, hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years, before the original Nightingales took place. And it seems like the Nightingales kind of had evolved back into that time. and they seem more primitive
Mhm.
and more bloodthirsty. I mean, they were rough, and it was just gory. Scare zones. We did not get to see Rob
Hold
Zombie.
on.
What?
So before you get into scare zones,
Mhm.
I forgot to mention that from what we saw and what we were told, the only house that has GATs or guest activated triggers is Killer Clowns.
Mhm.
So if you see shiny red buttons,
Press them.
as many times as you can.
Yeah. Oh, and before I get into Scare Zones 2, Academy of Villains is off the
Yes.
freaking chain.
I thought it was really cool that they used like a lot of different effects.
Yeah, a lot of
That
different
they've
elements and
elements. They used a lot of different elements that they've never used before
like what?
at their show.
They used the screens before.
The
The
screens aren't
shadows.
new. The shadows aren't new, but the really flexible guy is new.
Nope. He was in
I don't remember
2 years
him.
ago. The Irma show.
Oh, we didn't see that.
Yeah, we didn't see that one.
Yeah, and those dangly ropes.
Yeah, the trapeze,
Yeah.
the ribbons and trapeze.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool.
I couldn't watch the flexible guy. It was like seriously making me cringe. It was
And
bad.
the guys were playing with their balls too, so it was funny.
Yeah, that was actually really cool.
Yeah, it was cool. Guys doing, ball tricks and everything
Yeah,
like
so
that.
it
It
was
was
acceptable.
cool. Yeah. And
Scare zones.
yeah, we didn't get to see a lot of scare zones. We got to brush around with
The only ones that we really walked through was
Vanity Ball
Yeah, Vanity Ball, Vikings,
and Arcade.
Arcade.
And Arcade looks cool as hell.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me.
Okay.
So in the Simpsons area, they have chainsaws.
Oh yeah, this
And
guy is
there's,
awesome.
There's a dude, like, he's walking around with a chainsaw, and he gets up in people's ears, and he just goes, chainsaw noises. And it was
Yeah.
scaring the shit out of people. It was so funny.
He ran up to this group of girls, acted like he was going to pull it, and he yells at them, "Chainsaw noises!" And because they scattered when he did that, and I about pissed my pants laughing at that because it was a brilliant scare.
And it
I
worked.
mean, it worked. It worked, and it was a brilliant scare. I mean, wait. I think we got it on video.
We did.
Yeah. I mean, he just runs up to people yelling, "Chainsaw noises!" and shakes the chainsaw at them. I mean, it was brilliant. But the really only scare zone that we got to spend any time in was Vikings. And that scare zone's messed up. Vikings is got some really demented stuff in there, blood rituals and everything else. And I'd like to see that turned into a house next year. So, yeah, I'm sure they will because it's a good scare zone. What was the other one? Vanity Ball. We got to see a little bit of it, and it was just kind of weird, but hopefully we'll get to see some more. We didn't get to see Rob Zombie. We didn't get to see.
We saw this much of Zombieland, and it was
Yeah.
mostly just people walking through it because it's so crowded when we were walking through
Yeah,
it.
it was very, very crowded, and
The props look really cool during the day.
mhm. And at night they looked amazing, from what we could see. I get the hiccups now. Sorry. But in Arcade looked amazing. I like the concept of video games, not real video games, but like a world where video games have gone bad or something like that, apocalypse. So, but yeah, that's about it. It's Halloween Horror Nights. Oh, Stranger Things is also at Cabana Bay. Check out our video. We have video of it already.
Didn't we say it's every day?
Yeah, it's every day.
From now until the end of Horror Nights, so it's like November 2nd, right?
Yep.
From
And,
2 p.m. to 10 p.m.
and if you're staying on site at a Universal hotel, it doesn't matter which hotel, you can go to Cabana Bay and check it out for free. But if you're staying at Cabana Bay, you get priority access. You get to skip the line with everybody else. And really, all it is, it's 2 scenes from Stranger Things, and it's pretty cool.
It's cool.
I mean-
It's a nice photo op, and
Yeah, that's all it is just photo ops.
make sure you press the button in the ashtray.
Yeah,
Just saying, you'll regret it You'll regret it if you don't do it.
Yeah, and you can also check our video of it. We posted earlier today for Stranger Things at Cabana Bay. And let's see, this year overall, I like the whole video game 80s theme. And remember what I was saying earlier about Universal going bigger? That's kind of what it feels like. Anytime you have sequels to an 80s movie or anything, it was bigger and more over the top. And that's what this year feels like. It feels like it's bigger and over the top. Not necessarily better than any other year because last year was really great. And it's really hard to top a year that was really great, but it's tied with last year. I thought it was a lot of fun, and we're definitely going again. We'll be going. I think we got our Rush of Fear pass, and we'll be going.
Probably every single weekend.
Probably every single weekend until we
Until
can't
the end of September.
until we can't go anymore. And that's really, besides doing the RAP tour and the Express, that's really the best way to do it, is just to go as many nights as you can and just have fun with it. Go until you know go until you can't stand to wait in line anymore, and then go ride some rides and then come back. Because at the end of the night, we were seeing waits for the houses of like 20 minutes.
With the exception of Ghostbusters, Stranger Things, Us, and House of a Thousand Corpses, everything else was 20 minutes or less.
Yeah,
Those four houses had probably an hour wait each.
yeah,
But still, I mean, 20 minutes or less, you could do most of the houses in, just a couple of hours.
yeah.
And that was probably after 10:30 or 11 o'clock, and the event ended at 1. So, yeah, it seemed like a lot of people just left. I guess because they were tired.
Like us.
Or they were all in line for the big houses.
Yeah.
Because they had mega lines at the beginning of the event.
Yep.
So,
So we will have tons of videos up. We were able to get both infrared or night vision videos and regular videos up, so we'll have both of those up. Yeah, and the big tip is to definitely do Stay and Scream, hit Ghostbusters, and do the houses counterclockwise. Yeah, that's a great tip. Another great tip is if you're staying on site and you don't feel like waiting for the buses at the end of the night,
oh yeah.
walk over to Hard Rock
In Uber or
and Uber a Lyft. It cost us $6 and took us 5 minutes, and it was great. And our guy, yeah, I mean, you can Uber or Lyft from the hub, but you're going to be waiting a lot longer. Actually, it's now in the Jurassic Park parking garage.
It's also less confusion because there's less people at the hotels picking up Ubers and Lyfts at 1:30 in the morning.
Right.
So that was actually kind of nice.
Yeah, so I do recommend walking up to one of the hotels and just catching an Uber or a Lyft out to where you're going. And yeah, we will have tons of videos up, like tons and tons of videos. We've got Academy of Villains, the show.
The only caveat with the videos is we're not able to post the entire walkthrough.
Right.
We're only able to post clips. So we'll take the best clips and put them into one video.
Yep. For each house, each scare zone. Well, each scare, we can do the scare
we can
zones.
do whatever with the scare zones.
Yeah,
the
but
houses we're only allowed to use small
Right.
clips. So.
And we will have a highlight reel of Academy of Villains, as well as a highlight reel of the show, and that's only because we can post the whole thing. It's only we just get copyright dings from YouTube, and we get flagged for everything. It's a pain in the ass. So sorry, but maybe we'll post the full thing on Facebook. But we do appreciate the likes and subscribes and comments on YouTube. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for chatting with us. It's been fun, but we're going to bed. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that notification button. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Check out Behind the Thrills every day for the latest updates. And until next time, we go night night.